get this right quick. But I took some pictures of the kitchen real quick last night. I like to say that these were right after I finished it because it's not completely finished. But unfortunately, it was last night's because I haven't finished. So, well, I plan on finishing. Get those off, I think. All right. That's basically, I like the way he designed it because he has different heights and different thickness or depths on the top. I thought it was pretty cool. See the window over there? The problem was it's too far from the corner to make that corner lazy Susan work out. But what he did is he put a couple of fillers in there, and he drew that out for me. I haven't put the key plates yet, but I just want to show you real quick what it looked like. This is part of what I'm going to show you today is the transition between the face frame and the cabinet. And in this case, it's a reveal side, so I put these little things kind of dress it up a little bit. There's my little lazy Susan. I already messed it up because I put a screw that wasn't flat screw. I already scratched it a little bit, so I got to go over and repair it. But anyway, that's fine. Okay, the first thing I wanted to do, even though I had him draw it, I had to draw the cabinets themselves. And SketchUp here for a second. I used SketchUp to do it. We needed a cabinet for over the washing machine, so I thought it'd be a good opportunity to do a little review. If you remember last time, you set it up so that you have, for woodworkers, it's a little bit different setup. And I have the instructions here. If anyone wants to start using SketchUp, hasn't already started, to set your computer up. Actually, you probably should sit down with you and help you set it up because sometimes it's kind of hard to find where he was talking about. He and I got together. Actually, I had to look around a little bit for some of it. But once you get set up, this is basically what it's going to look like. If you'll notice up at the top, I can't see my full screen. We're just going to have to deal with that today. But it worked okay last time. So when you come in, when you have it set up correctly, this is basically what you got. You should be able to see all three axes. Blues up and down, greens front to back, reds right to left. Or whatever way you want to look at it. You can't just draw up in the air, so you have to draw so that it has somewhere to click. So let's start by drawing a board. So we draw this, a little rectangle like that, and a length. See the little measurements at the bottom. It starts with the 2 3/3 seconds. So we want a board 32 inches long. All right. This gives us a plane. You click on the plane, and it gives you a little thing showing you. It changes the pattern to show you that that's what you've got selected. And a P is a push-pull tool. And you click on that, pull it up, and type 3/4. There's your board. All right? I did do that right. All right, cool. And we're going to edit this a little bit. We want to put a dado down it. We'll use our ruler tool. Click on the edge we want it to be referenced to. Slide over and type in 1/8. And then you want to click on that one. You slide over. We're going to go 3/4. I use solid material, so I could put in like use what is it, 25, 30 seconds or whatever for 3/4. But I actually use solid, so I'm using real measurements, 3/4, that sort of thing. All right. Once we get that, we take our rectangle tool again. You have to zoom in to kind of get the right reference point. Gosh, it's really hard on the screen. But you click there, and back off. If you hold the shift key down, you can move it straight up. Get down like that. That gives you a plane right there. And use push-pull tool, go down 1/8. That gives me a data. And I always like to get rid of these little reference lines.
What did you do to get rid of that reference line?
To do what?
What did you do to get rid of that reference line?
I just click on it to make it blue and hit delete, or you can go up and get the eraser tool and click on it and you can just rub across it. It'll get rid of it. Any questions so far? Am I going? I know if you haven't worked with it, it makes no sense, but you use the same tools over and over again. Push-pull tools make things thinner and fatter. Lines, you got lines and rectangles, circles, squares, and stuff like that. So it looks like I don't have my face frame. I didn't move my 1/8 over, but that's okay. I can fix that. Let's go. So let's just say this is drawn correctly. That's okay. I've got another file that has it drawn correctly. I would choose it left to right. That chooses everything you just drew.
Can you now display the?
What's that?
Can you now display the measurements for that?
Oh, sure. Yeah, let's do that at the end though, because it's easier just to kind of draw it out.
Okay.
Triple click on it, make it a component. We're going to call it face frame style. All right. You don't have to redraw this for the other side. All you do is click on it to choose it, and then the M for move and control will make a copy. So you just, oh shit. All right.
I didn't see that old shit tool up
Is
there.
that,
Oh, I tell you, it's there.
is that part in the book too?
The icon for that.
That was an icon for that, I
M
see.
for move and control afterwards. You don't have to hit them together. And see it sliding over. It's made an exact copy, and as long as I stay on the red axis there, it's going to go over. I can click anywhere and I can type. My cabinet's going to be 36, but it's a 2-inch face frame, so it moves the whole thing over. So we're going to say 34, so that my measurement. Well, it did take it. Oh, I didn't click. I'll just right after I get to clicking it down, just hit 34, and it moves it over 34 inches. Let's check our measurement. Hold a little. Use a mouse with a roller key, and you hold the roller key down and the shift, and it moves it without moving the other axes. If you really just use the roller key, it'll rotate it around. Okay. All right. Now let's check our measurement. Get our tape measure tool. We go from one edge. It's hard to see the edges. This screen is so small because of the video thing. You get about half your screen. It's much easier. Maybe I'm wrong here for some reason. All right, let's move it over.
All these little control things that Ricky is talking about there, as far as which button to push and what to do with the roller key and the shift key and all that kind of stuff, was a real good description of that
Undo key.
in a DVD
Right
called
there. So it gets rid of
Sketchup
that.
for Woodworkers.
Get rid of that. Let's do it again. The M and control makes a copy, move it over. Let's type 36, the 34. All right, now let's check our measurement. Use our tape measure key or T. You can just use a quick key for the T. Have to make sure you're on the bottom there. There we go, 36. We're at our 36. Okay? So we want to draw our rails there. So we just take, while we're here, since we have a dado, let's rotate this, flip along. The axis we moved along was the red axis. Remember, it's got the dado on the outside. We want to flip it around so it's on the correct orientation. So you just say flip around the red axis. So you see now our dado is on the right side. Now to draw our style, it's going to be difficult with the screen, but let's do our little rectangle tool again. Choose top, like that. Make sure we're on top of the board there. All right, choose that face. Push pull again, P. Pull it down, 3/4. That's it. There's your board. Let's make that a component. Triple click, right click, make a component. And we're going to call it face frame rail. to back off. So once again, choose it. M and Control makes a copy. You okay? Oh.
Yeah, okay.
M and Control makes a copy. Let's just move it. I just happen to know my cabinet's 32, so we're just gonna type 30. That's not right. Move, M for move. It'll want to snap to that grid. Anyway, I hate this thing so small. Anyway, you get the idea of that. So let's just open the one that says face frame wrong. Face frame finish. All right, this is the way the face frame is really supposed to look. So now we need our cabinet size. So we're going to draw the board. Get in there so we make sure we get at the bottom of our little data is there.
Do you have a snap-on to make it snap to that corner?
Yeah, it will generally speaking say when we start with our rectangle, it'll want to go to one of those points there. And it'll tell you in that little box there where you are. If you get closer with the resolutions a little better, you can see that you're in the right spot, the right place. Once you get really complicated drawings, you can really choose the wrong spot easily.
Is this the inside of the face or the outside of the face?
You can go inside of these figures.
Is this picture the inside of it or the outside?
That particular object on the screen is the face frame of the cabinet.
The face frame where the dado is actually the inside of the cabinet. You'll see. All right, so I'm going to draw the side. First thing we want to do is we want it 12 inches deep. So let's draw us a reference line. Use your tape measure tool, or T again. Choose it, and the reference we want to draw from is the front of the face frame. All right, we want to go up 12 inches. Oh, wait a minute. I got to go up. Got to click first. Click on the edge, go up, click, and then type 12. All right. There's my reference line up there. So let's draw a rectangle again. Get in there close so we know we're in the bottom. Click on the other side and go up. I need to come up here and practice with the resolution screen like this. It's hard when you have no screen. All right, there's my rectangle. Remember, it doesn't have any depth yet. Click on that space, push pull, which is P, and get it started. And I know it's 32, so I'll just type 32. There's my board.
On your style there, I noticed you had a radius on that outside corner. Did you draw that radius before you got to this
I'll
point?
show you how to do it real quick. Let's see, let's just draw a board out here. Let's just draw a board. Oh,
30 seconds.
2, 32. There we go. Okay. Push pull. 3/4. Whoops. We won't draw the data, but we'll just go over here. On the face of the board, kind of turn it where we want. Just draw a couple of reference lines. Tape measure tool. 1/8. Tape measure tool. 1/8. All right. Let's go over on the edge where we can see it real good. We'll zoom in. You got an arc tool here. Choose arc tool. Your one point is that edge, the other point is that edge, and then the third click is your bend. You can type in 1/8 or 1/8 bit. All right. That gives you this drawing. Just get rid of these lines. I like to get rid of the lines right away because it gets really complicated if you got all these reference lines everywhere. Choose that face, that little round face there. Push pull tool, push it, and I know it's 32, I just made it. That gets rid of it. Okay? All right,
You put on there 32 because that was the length of it?
that's the length of the board, that's correct. All right. If you do it the same thickness or length of the board, it just goes away.
If you didn't remember, you just pull it down and it'll highlight the far end.
Yeah.
And then
All right, and then, all right, let's go back to our face frame. All right, we drew our board, but there's a lot of work on the inside of the side of the board. So let's just get over here, get rid of that. Anytime you have a tool open, make sure you close it by hitting the space bar. That's the way you close all your tools or anything. If you have something open, it's easy to go push, pull, and weird stuff, and you get all kind of weird ass shapes and stuff. All right, so we want to work on this board right here, though. There's a bunch of shelf pin holes I have to draw, and a couple of dados and a rabbit, or one dado and one rabbit. So let's just triple click on it. Let's go ahead and make it a component. We're going to call it side. And let's move it up. Just stay on the blue axis to go straight up. Let's just throw up 12 inches. And all I'm doing that for is because of that dado down there. It's hard to get inside of that dado to make my other dados. So I just moving it up out of the way is all I'm doing. Shift and hold down the roller key. I got a reference line there for some reason. Get rid of it.
that's your 12 inches.
Yeah, all right. I know on the bottom of my cabinet, I want to come up 2 inches because my face frame is 2 inches. That's the top of the dado. My little tape measure tool again. Click on it, 2. There's my little reference line. And from there, tape measure tool, I should have kept it open. Click on that line and go 3/4, the depth, the width of my. All right, now choose my rectangle tool. I know I'm kind of going fast. I want to kind of try to get it drawn. But these are repetitions. Click on that face, push, pull, 3/8. Or whatever you want to make it. All right, does that give us our dado? Yeah, okay. Get rid of these lines. Do a wrap on the other end. Click on the edge, bring it in 3/4. There's my reference line. I want to choose rectangle, made it there. Doesn't want to click there. There. I know I have that plane drawn. Click on it, push, pull. I'm going to go in 3/8. All right. So we got it. I did do it for some reason. Guess I did that. It drew that edge line instead of playing push pull. Still not doing that. We have to start over this. Go back. Sorry, guys. Don't teach class up here. I'm just kidding. There you go, 3/4. All right, draw our plane. Probably what it did, pick the back place. Choose our face, push, pull, 3 hairs. Didn't do it that time. Heck no. What is it?
You're just selecting that and hitting the delete, right?
Yeah.
To get rid of those lines?
Yeah.
Let's go back, let's get rid of this. Somebody does not want me to do that. But I want to keep going with this, because it's a part I want to do. Let's try it one more time. If it doesn't do it, we'll give up on it. Here's my 3/4. Oh, I haven't drawn my plane yet, let's see. Bear with me, I'm sorry. No, I give up. All right, what are we worried about? I don't know why it's not there. Probably has something to do with the resolution of the screen, but it did it on the other side. I want some reference lines from here. This is a new concept that we didn't have last time. This said 5 inches. And on the other end, 5 inches. Tape tool, 5. And I want to draw 1.5 inches down from the edge, 1.5. And I want to zoom in here, and I want to draw a circle there. This is going to be my shelf pin jig, or shelf pin holes. Draw a circle. You just choose the circle tool, click in the middle of where you want it drawn, and start moving it out. Type 1/8. We're going to use 1/8. It's really a 1/4, but it's radius. So there's my 1/4 inch circle. Move in so we can see the face. Push pull. Oh, I know what I'm doing wrong.
You have the board to be 3/4
It's a
inch?
component. To edit a component, you have to have it open. Let's do it real quick. I'm sorry. That's a good lesson, though. If you run into this trouble, what's happened is I have this as a component. And if I want to change that component, I have to do it within the component. So let's draw our, well, I'm not going to worry about that part. Let's just get back to the, let's go ahead and draw our cell pin holes. You know I basically got to do the data. 5 inches from the bottom. And just use my tape tool.
What did you have to do to get inside that component, Ricky?
What's that?
What did you have to do to get inside that component?
How did you get inside the component?
Oh, triple click. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Once it's a component.
And all that does is open up the component for editing. And the reason it does that is if you have this, if you already have both sides, if you edit this component, it edits the other one too, as long as they're the same component. So they don't want you doing anything to it unless you want to do it for both of them. But we haven't made the other one yet. But tape tool, 5 inches. All right, there's my little reference line right there. Let's go over here. All right, there's my, let's go. I need to get rid of that. All right. Triple click to get back in there. With my circle tool. I'm in the component now. I click on it. Another click, 1/8. There's my circle. Move in so I can get, I don't want to choose a line in the circle, I want to choose the face of the circle, push pull. I want to go in, we say 3/8, I don't know how far it goes in actually. This is the other concept. I may have showed you a circle last time, but I want to move this over and then make a whole bunch of copies of it, so I don't have to draw 35 circles. So I'm going to move and control and copy by the same old way. So I click on it, double click to make sure that I have the depth and the face. And I'm going to move control. And I'll go like that and type 3/4 because I know my little jig thing is 3/4 of an inch apart for each hole. Sometimes I want to use all of them. Anyway, and then before I type anything else, I've already typed 0.75 or 3/4 of an inch. I'll go say 30x. Now it's drawn 30 of them. I don't know that that's what I needed. We'll back up, probably didn't. Hopefully I've drawn too many of them. And I did. There we go. Move over to where you want to look, scroll in, and it'll go to that area. So I click and drag and choose the one that are outside of my range, hit delete, and there they're gone. So now I have shelf pin holes within my component for my shelf pin. I need 2, one on each end. I can do it the same way down here if I want, but I do need a reference line down. Or I could just redraw it, but it's done the same way basically. You can copy all of them and move them down to 1.5 above, or you can do it the same way you just did. All right, so for time, let's go to the next side. All right, this is what it looks like when you get it drawn. Same basic idea for the shelf. You draw the shelf in, put it there. There's a data that goes on the bottom of the shelf. Let's just bring the file in. I'm afraid I'm gonna run out of time, so let's bring it in. It's done the same way. All right, this is where the shelves added. I just want to show you the detail on the shelves. On these shelves, they have a data or a rabbet all the way down the shelf, 3/8 of an inch wide on the thickness of the board, 7/32 deep for my plywood, which is 7/32. That way, my plywood would be contained within these dado or rabbets all the way around the box. There you see my shelf pin holes. When I finished with that component, all I had to do was move it back down 12 inches. It would have went right in my dado, then copied it over to the other side and put it in the other dado. All right, see my cabinet though is sitting on the ground. This is the other concept I wanted to show this time. And it's laying on its face. We can tilt it up by, we're gonna choose everything in there and then have a tool to change the angle. It's the rotate tool. Bring it in, and it's blue there, which means if it's blue, it's gonna rotate around the sky. If what we wanna rotate, it's red, so I wanna move this around until it starts kinda getting the red component. All right, I wanna choose there, there, and rotate it out.
Are you clicking and releasing whenever you do that?
Yes. When I get the rotation tool, the color changes to the reference you want it rotated to. And the clicks, there's two clicks. I click in one position and I click in the other position to sort of make the hinge. You can do it in the middle of the cabinet, you do it on the edge of the cabinet, whatever way you want to do it, just as long as you tell it, I want to rotate in reference to this axis, but I want to use this as the rotation point. Okay? So I got it flipped around. Let's just do it again because it's backwards. In my frame of reference, it's backwards. Let's pick it again. We want to rotate this time around the green. Or the blue. Actually, the blue, actually. I'm going to choose that point. Oops, wrong. Rotation tool does take a little practice. That point and that point. Rotate it around 180. And there it is. It's all rotated where I want. I like to, there's reference points up here. The little house, ISO gives it that view, top view, front view, that view, what is that? Back view, I guess, or that side view, back view. All right. When I get through drawing it, I kind of am used to moving it, so I just move this to where it's comfortable. So I can see my reference lines. It's kind of in space the way I want it. Whoops, not really. Anyway. All right. Jimmy was asking earlier about adding your measurement and whatever. Let's see. All right, there's my cabinet finished, rotated, and positioned or whatever. I can go ahead and draw the doors. I'm not going to do that today, but
Is your back on it at this situation here?
oh yeah, just go back. To draw the back is basically the same way. You go, let's go to that. I'm sorry. There it is right there. To do the back, just rotate it around. You would go inside there, choose that point there, draw a rectangle. You have to be careful you choose the right point. I click once. I want to go over here and make sure I'm in the top, not the bottom of that rabbit there. Click again. I want to back away, go down here, go back in, click again. There's my plane. That's just a plane. There's no thickness yet. So I choose that piece, push, pull, go down, what was it, 7/30 seconds, 7/30 seconds, and that's my back. I can triple click on that, make it a component, and call it back. Once you do that, the reason you want to do that is when you get to this point, when your box is complete like that, remember your components, you can't see them. When you click on this, if you can see them, your components are listed down there. You can bring them in one at a time and add your measurements. Let's just bring in something, whatever the hell I've achieved over here. I think this is the back. At home, it's much easier because you have a much bigger screen. All right. Let's get the measurements. Over here on the left is a measurement tool. It's hard to see. Choose it and go to a point. 2 points you want measured. 2 clicks and then drag it to the right. And there's your measurement. And you can do that with all of your components because you know the exact size of them. And that gives you a cut list of what you need to make.
Can you just get a list of all of your components and the measurements and make?
Sure. You can do it that way. Generally what I do is just do an animation
Yeah.
and I can choose which animation I want to look at. So it's really time consuming to put them in like a list and bring them down. It takes forever.
Oh, it doesn't do all of that?
Yeah, it's just easier just to have an animated view. And that's what this next view is. Let's see.
You won't pay $5,000 for a CAD tool. We'll do it
Yeah,
for that.
the pay version of SketchUp has incredible features, but it's like $500 or $500 or
Even
$600.
$500, not bad for this.
Yeah,
tool.
and it really doesn't add that much. All right, this is with my components added. I just have that as the first view. And I can go to the second scene that that's my sides with my measurements added. That's my rails. That little closer view of the rails. You're supposed to be full screen. And that's my sides with the measurements where the shelf bins are and stuff like that.
How'd you get these scenes?
You just, once you bring in your component, go up under View, Animation, and add a scene. So you bring it in, add your measurements, and what you see on your screen, you just add that as a scene. You can do whatever you want to do, and then go to that view in the animations. You can also automate the animations. So View, Animation, Play, and it'll actually go through the process for you. But to me, the more useful view is so that I could get my build in the cabinet. But it's impressive to, if you drew a whole bunch of cabinets, you could show them.
Will this, does this thus give you a cut list? Is that your cut list or?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Don, over here.
Oh, I'm sorry, done. I was really hard of hearing, I didn't bring my
That's
ear.
okay, cut list. Does this give you a cut list at the same
It
time?
won't give you a cut list. The pay version will, but this you'd have to bring in your components and do the measurements.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little time consuming, but it's not too bad. Also too, on that first view, hit stop, go to first view. This has all kinds of different components in it, including my little hanger board in the back, stuff like that. You can click on that and explode. Well, I don't know, maybe it's going to take too long, but you can move each component. Click on it, move it out, and explode your cabinet and make that one of your views. Because they're components. It's not, you're not moving lines or planes or things, you're moving components. Same thing with the cabinet, and that's kind of a cool view. if you want to add that as a scene, I do that a lot, to show the basic design of the cabinet. Any other questions?
If you draw like a long rectangle and put a square in the top corner overlapping, can you combine them together?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
If you draw a tall rectangle and then at the top put a square in the corner and overlap them, can you combine them together?
I'm not
Such as if you draw a cabriole leg, you know, it has the foot at the bottom and then the leg and then the bigger part at the
You
top.
would just draw your reference point to that.
So you can't draw like two different things and combine them.
Ricky, I
You
think what
wouldn't be
he's
able to
talking
see
about,
it. The problem is they're actually hollow. Even though you see them as a solid board, the inside of them is hollow. There's nothing in there. So you would be able to draw it, but you wouldn't be able to see that detail.
but could you merge two components? to a
Yeah,
third?
I don't know that you can. I don't believe you can. Because of the way it treats a figure, because it's hollow inside. I do know that, say, if I were on the side of the cabinet over here, you can go to a view, under view, edge style, back edges, you can see the dado on the other side of the board. So maybe you could.
It's probably in the pro version.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to see it unless you had back edges in view. But it would be really, you see, the only problem with this view, you can see how it can get really complicated really fast. You really can't tell. It's handy for getting a reference to draw something else on the other face and then get rid of it again. But to actually look at it, it gets confusing fast. This is a
Hey, Ricky,
a really simple cabinet.
Ricky, I believe what he was,
Style back edges. Huh?
I believe what he was asking for is if you take component 1 and component 2, can you combine those and make a component 3?
Oh, yeah, put them close side by side,
Yeah,
click left to right, chooses everything within that, and give it a new component name. Yes, that's like, say I drew my sides and my rails and sides, I can choose all of that I've drawn and call that face frame. Sure. I'm sorry, I misunderstood the question. I thought you meant like if you have something that's on the inside of another piece. But yeah, you could do that. All right, cool. Are we good? Had enough SketchUp? Y'all sleep yet? All right, turn the lights on. We'll put together what basically was what this was.
Wasn't there, in that same program, some pre-made cabinets?
Oh, yeah, crap load of thousands and thousands and thousands of cabinets already drawn out.
And you take them around here to me?
Yeah, you can bring those in. And it depends on how well the person who drew them knows SketchUp. Because sometimes people don't make components real good, and you can't take them apart, and you can't stretch things and add things if you don't have components made. But if someone is really good at drawing SketchUp and they posted that on the library, I forgot what the name of the library is, but you can bring it in, separate it out, and make it any size you want. Say if you have a door that's 30 inches, you really need to be 32. The only thing you would do is choose the bottom part of that door and the move tool, the M tool, and stretch it out. And it'll understand what you're trying to do to 32. And you've made their cabinet your cabinet. That's really the way most of SketchUp is used.
You can scale the whole thing too if you want.
I'm sorry?
You can scale the whole thing. also.
Sure, yeah,
The
sure.
scale factor of this.
Yeah, it's a really powerful program. Learning how to use it's really not that bad. This is definitely the basic. Most people who use SketchUp don't even do this. They just bring in stuff off the library, or they have stuff that they've made before. They've already drawn a door at some point. They just bring the door in and they get the size they need it. They don't go through this, but I think you have to know how to do this to understand what you're doing in there. Another thing you can do is, what you was talking about, scale. So you go to a museum, you see a museum piece you want a picture, just take a picture straight on the side, and you can make that picture scaled in SketchUp and get pretty close to the measurements that you need to make that. It's, what is that?
Reverse engineering.
It's scale. It's
Mhm.
scale tool.
Scale.
I do that a lot.
So you would bring the picture in and choose 2 points and tell SketchUp what that is in inches, and it'll scale it for you. All right, anyway, let's put it together. All right. The advantage of doing it this way is you can make your face frame because you know your measurement of the cabinet's going to be, and these little reference pieces on the side are so that you can have a good transition on the side of your face frame. When I used to make them before, I made a bunch of boxes and then went back and made face frames. And you can't get a good transition, or at least I had a lot of trouble getting good transitions on the side. It would either be too big or too small, and then I take a router and try to make it even. But if you start with the face frame, you know it's going to be this size. I put this so that it's easier to put together. And you can finish making your cabinet and dry fit it together. Like this. This one's the bottom. Sorry. This way. Okay, this one. We got it. I have these little doohickeys here that I bought, I think at Kentech a long time ago. Put out by Jed, I think. And the reason I'm doing this is I'm dry fitting my cabinet to make sure I've got everything cut right. And then if I'm doing a whole kitchen, I don't have to leave my cabinet together. I know that it's cut right. All I have to do is this to assemble it real quick. Check my measurements, check my fit, and then I can take it back apart and not put it back together until it's time. So I have a whole house full of cabinets that don't take up any room. But it's also easy to assemble. I put my Craig screws on the bottom of the cabinet and on the top of the cabinet so that you don't really see it with the face frame. And we're going to attach the ones to the bottom first. I'm not going to put any glue. You would normally put glue, but I'm not going to do it.
Ricky, this is the way you built your cabinets, right?
What's that?
This is the way you built your cabinets?
Yeah. Now, I mean, it's not the only way to build cabinets. Know that. I mean, and I'm no professional by any stretch, but I do like the way he boxed in the back. I didn't used to do that too. I used to go, the depth of the shelf would be the depth of the rabbet on the side, and I would just nail to the depth and then go past down to the end here. But I like it boxed in like this because as long as you make the back really square, this is going to be square. All right, cool. Just bear with me.
This exact process that you're seeing here this morning is the same thing that Mark Adams charges $1,200 for.
And
Just so you get a perception of the value.
we want to make sure that you have yourself in place. All right, where's the gavel?
Right here.
Here. That'll work. Oh, I like the gavel. It's so much more professional sounding. See, you can kind of really work out your edges.
Bigger hammer.
Yeah, and then on the middle one, you want to look around the other side, make sure you're really right. All right, so you know what, let's put a clamp to make sure it doesn't move. It wants to creep a little bit. When you put your Craig screw in, it always wants to climb just a little bit. So we put a clamp on it, sometimes you can prevent that, so that you end up with a really nice transition on the shelf. So we don't have that problem. That was the other problem I had with face frames before. My shelves never lined up never lined up with my face frame press. I hated that. It's so obvious too on a shelf. Alright, now I've got it pulled down to the face frame. Let's put our clamp over on the side over here. Take this one out. Alright, now, the bottom board's gonna hold it to the face frame, so as long as this is tight here, it's gonna be tight. Once I pull it up, it should be tight against the side. And it's in that dado, so it's not gonna slip out of the way when you put the screw in. How many Craig screws?
A lot.
I definitely don't like to go more than 6 inches if I could help it. Between. Alright, that's the bottom. That's not going anywhere. If you put glue on this dado here, you don't even need them in the inside part of the cabinet. It's not going anywhere. You do the front real quick, or the top real quick. It's not a transition here you gotta really worry about, but I do want to put this. I wouldn't hate you. See him move, he's used to working on me. Fast move, pull it just a little bit. That's good right there. And you don't really have to do this, but I noticed last night when I was putting it together, I didn't want to pull it.
See if I
Not very
got my
tight.
name
A
on
little bit. That's good. That's good right there. Again, I'd go the one to the face frame first because everything's relative to the face frame. Pull it up tight. And then once you put your sides, then it's tight to the face frame. Yep. I ought to hear that. What I'm saying is, the only time you would do this is on assembly day. So you can store your cabinets till you're done with all of them.
And you would normally use glue when you're doing this?
I would.
On assembly day?
Normally. I just save time, I don't wanna. This is my hanger board. It has those Craig screws on the back side, so of course you're not gonna see them once you add it. But you got your dados here as a reference, or your rabbits. I get dados and rabbits. Doors, It's the only piece that I did not dry fit last night with my hanger board. It's a tad short, but not much. Alright, there we go. Got it.
1,600 screws.
But my rabbits keep me in the right position. Thank you, Dad. Thanks. See, I don't need this. Move this out of here.
Yeah.
Well, this end down there.
You don't need a house full of clamps either. A lot of times when I did them the other way too, I'd have about 25 clamps around the face frame because they didn't want any nail showing. And I wouldn't nail anything, or screw anything, not even Craig jig screws. Craig screws are nicer, I tell you. You don't really have to put glue, I don't think.
Oh, no, you gotta have glue.
Huh?
You gotta have glue.
He wants,
I mean, it's like an unwritten rule, I know, but
he wants glue, screws, and nails.
this is the other thing I didn't dry fit, but I just know it fit.
Almost.
Almost fit. It may not.
Are those plywood boards or solid boards?
What's that?
Is that solid wood or plywood?
The
Solid.
sides and everything are solid, the only thing plywood is. And I am probably have to trim this about a 32nd. But you see basically how it goes.
No.
And you can dry fit all of it, because you can take your Craig screws back out, just don't glue it. And then when it's cabinet day, you don't have to do anything but put your cabinets in.
What about your doors?
That's basically all I got. Any questions?
Is that wood from the wood that you sawed up?
Yes,
over
it
there at
is.
this place?
Yes, sir.
How'd you dry that?
This particular wood, we took to, what's the name of it, to a Georgia chair. Oh, we could put the doors on. I'll show you a quick way to do the doors. There's that cabinet. See, a nice Georgia chair. Was the guys that did our drying for us. They don't do it anymore. We did find another outfit. Who was that? Do you remember? I think they were gonna charge us 70
Something like that. It's ridiculously expensive, yeah.
70 cents a foot to dry it and to straight line it, wasn't it? And we paid 70 cents total, cutting and everything on the last batch. So I mean, it's getting a little more expensive, but still you got about $1.05 maybe in a dried piece of oak per board foot.
Tell you what, we have some that we dried under the shelter and then we put it in the house and turn the fan on it. You'd be surprised how well it works. It doesn't warp, it doesn't do anything.
You say you put it in the house?
Pardon?
The wood that you
What
cut
did we
when I
cut?
got
Yeah.
it weighs about half as much as it does when I got it. It's all-
Did you say you cut it, you stacked it, and you put it in a house and put a fan on it?
Yeah. Put it in the basement and put a fan
Put
on
it
it.
in the basement?
Yeah.
Just sitting in the air conditioned house with a low humidity,
Yeah.
only 4 or 5 months does a
See,
really
it's
good
a
job.
dehumidifier, your air conditioner.
Well, one thing too, it takes longer to do that, but then you're still giving your wood time to acclimate and settle in rather than to dry it all of a sudden and it
Right.
takes off 15 different directions.
Give me a second, we'll put the doors on real quick. There's an easier way to put the doors on too. I like to make a little jig, so I know the doors are in the right height.
Did you have much problem with your stickers causing stain?
It'll
Really?
stain it a little bit, but as soon as you flame it, it's gone.
It comes out, it doesn't go deep enough. On some woods it does.
Well, it depends on which time of year you cut it too. We like to cut in the winter time.
Right, when it sags down?
Yeah. And, you don't have the molding effect that you have in the summer.
Yeah.
You remember whenever we cut all that red maple, we put those 48-inch fans on it out there outside for about 3 days. And we just blew through the stickers and that red maple hasn't stained a bit.
But you did that outside.
Yeah.
Of course, the outside, this time of year, your humidity down to
Really, the best
20%
time, the
anyway.
very best time to cut wood is in the middle of the winter,
Yeah, yeah,
because it's the driest.
yeah.
The colder the better.
We have cut it when it was 16 degrees and the middle kept freezing.
Oh,
I think you better put it on that first.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There
If
we
you
go.
got them located right, that's, get it located. Once you get your jigs down, you got it pretty well whipped. Yeah.
And these holes are drilled, I have a little jig at the house, a little plastic L-shaped thing that has those holes pre-marked. And you just set the jig up there 3 inches from the top, 3 inches from the bottom. And then it gives you position of the holes, gives you a center of this one. I just take a regular drill and I don't put it on the drill press or anything. I used to, it's harder to find the exact center with the drill press than it is on a drill. And I just put the porcelain bit in there and drill it out. You know, it's fairly flat. It doesn't have to be perfectly flat because it really is holes on the side.
Did you make your own jig or did you purchase it?
I bought that little jig. It was only like $4. You can give it, I think Lowe's even sells them. You don't have to do that for it. All I do, I got my bottom one in place. Now we'll do that on both sides. I'm going to, but I want to save time. And then I'll just slap it in place. Shit, don't mean backwards.
You got some stinky cabinet, don't you?
That never happened. I was on the back of the cabinet, all right? Jeez, give me a break.
I wouldn't want to admit how many times I've done that.
I never made a cabinet in front of folks, by myself. Clip it in at the bottom, like that. And I just take my drill bits. You gotta push it. I try to get in the middle of my adjustment with the hole so that I got some up and down. But I mean, I can re-drill if I have to. You got it there?
Yeah.
The door? Nice to have Dad still around to help.
Yeah.
He needs a lot of help. We get in door making days over there. Ooh, make 25 or 30 doors, you need help. If for nothing else, for moral support.
3 router tables.
I have one of them over at his house. Well, he's got one at his house, and I have 2 at mine. We still use all 3 of them. We have the raised panels at his house, and
You ever what?
all right, now see, I got my center marked here. It's perfectly centered on the bottom. It's not on the top. Nice thing about these new hinges, you got some adjustment. In and out on the hinge, up and down with the screws.
Wow.
Probably gonna help if I go over there to do it, if I can see the line.
That's the greatest hinge.
Until I get to the line. On the line on both top and bottom. That's my door.
All right.
I wouldn't bore you too much. I'd be glad to help you. If you want to learn SketchUp, it really is better one-on-one.
Yeah, just stop at the house.
Sometimes, huh?
Just stop at the house, it'll be all right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, sometimes if we got time together, I don't mind sitting down with people. At least get them started. But you kind of got to learn it on your own. You can have people show you the glue in your face, but you got to do it.
You also gotta keep using it.
Huh?
You also gotta keep using it, or you.
Yeah, exactly.
The older you get, the more you gotta keep on using.
That's why I'm teaching. That's why I'm teaching these classes. Every time I do this, it gets a little bit deeper in there, and I don't have as much to try to bring it right back. So this is good for me to teach these classes. I'm going to make myself do it every now. As long as you guys are interested, I'll be glad to do it. There is a way you can draw stuff for turning too, but it's not quite as useful for that. Turning's one of the, you kind of go with the flow and go how it feels. Not something you go by a drawing, generally speaking.
Sound like you're volunteering to do a 4 or 5 hour class.
Well, thank you.
I'll do whatever y'all want me to do, whatever.
Actually, Ricky and I both took
Whatever.
2 days.
I like it, I love it.
What
It's
was that,
fun.
2 days with Robert
Did-
Lane?
How many of y'all were here with the first one, for the first one? Remember the little drawing the little girl did? Oh my God, oh my God. She's amazing, she's like 14 years old, drew the house she wanted, including the furniture.
You know, it seems like they have clubs or something on the internet, because I saw something one time I ran into where they took some inanimate object, you know, like a TV set or something like that, and they had everybody draw it and see how close they could come up with the same thing that they had. They all came up with a little bit different, but some of them were just, everyone was perfect.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, they had like 40 or 50 people drawing the same thing. You know, like, look at this little emergency light back there, and they all end up with something that looks like an emergency light, you know. It's pretty
The
cool.
guy that I took the class with, Bob Lang, and, man, I'd like to know how to do it as good as he does how to do it. Oh, my God.
Well, you have to keep on working with it.
Yeah.
You work with it day in and day out, and that's all
Well,
you
what,
do.
he draws, he's the editor for Wood, is it Wood magazine?
Popular woodworking, yeah.
Yeah, oh, one of them, yeah, and, he does all of the drawings for the projects in the magazine, so he definitely gets practice with it. And they used to farm that out, you know, pay people to do that, but, yeah, you don't really need to do that much of that. But anyway, if you have an opportunity to take classes, it's expensive, it's about $400 for a 2-day class. I actually think that's the best $400 I ever spent. No doubt about it. I could have bought a nice tool for $400, but I did get a nice tool.
The only problem is I forgot some of the things that he was talking about.
And he's pretty, I actually did ask him a question by email the other day, and he responded back pretty quick next morning.
Two other resources that are really good for SketchUp is SketchUp for Woodworkers DVD that I mentioned a little bit before, and there's also SketchUp for Dummies.
Yeah, the book.
There's a book, and the author of the book, his last name is Chopra, and I forget which reference it is. I think it's SketchUpForDummies.com. This dude named Chopra went through there and captured all the screen images, so you can see him mousing around on the screen and so forth, and it is very, very helpful to me to learn how to use that. Yes.
Peachtree sells the series
Okay.
of SketchUp.
What is that one?
This is your instructor, and this is somebody else. Dave Richards.
Okay. Bob Lang's CD is
Yeah.
absolutely
I have
fantastic.
one of those.
Because it's indexed so that if you're trying to do a task, you can find it in the index right away. It's really, really nice. I still use it
If
all.
you really want to get your mind blown, go out there on the internet, there's complete houses. People
Yeah.
have
A couple of sets, a couple of books.
buildings, even commercial buildings. It was used more for architectural drawings before.
I get another one? Cool.
Yeah.
I gotta take all of that.
Well, this was more your size.
That's what
I've had this one.
Thanks, y'all.
They're really-